What's happening, my Jack family? Coach Scott here, JackDoctor40.com. Today I'd like to discuss a recent study that was published which revealed that following a carb cycling diet or calorie cycling approach to dieting is better for preserving lean muscle mass, fat-free mass, compared to a diet where you are consistently remaining in a caloric deficit throughout the entire fat loss phase. So does this mean if you want to get shredded after 40, you should follow a carb cycling diet approach? Not so fast. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down that study so you get a clear picture of exactly what this study revealed. And I'm going to be sharing my own personal anecdotal evidence from decades of following various dieting approaches, including carb cycling and consistently following a steady caloric deficit throughout the entire fat loss process. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. You want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I want to hear from you down in the comment section below. Have you followed carb cycling approaches? Have you followed diets where you consistently remain in a caloric deficit throughout the entire duration of the fat loss phase? I want to hear about your experiences and what you think of this recent research. Drop a comment down below. Let's dive into this information right now. The study lasted 7 weeks and included 27 participants. Both men and women participated in this study, and on average they had a lifting experience of 5 years. So these were not untrained individuals, so they were beyond that point of experiencing newbie gains. The target was to hit a 25% calorie deficit for the week, and these 27 participants were broken up into 2 groups. 14 of them followed the 25% calorie deficit 7 days a week for the entire 7-week study here. The other 13 were placed in a group where they were to consume a 35% calorie deficit 5 days of the week, and 2 days a week, back-to-back days, they consumed maintenance level calories. The participants were provided with nutritional support, and they were also provided a 4-day workout plan that they were instructed to follow. There was a basic program outlined. There were certain exercises that were mandatory for them to perform, and there were certain exercises that they could choose from. So they had a list of exercises that they could use to create their own personalized workout plan. But all in all, the overall structure was in place. It was similar among all groups. It's just some people may have chose some different exercises. Their sets were set in place. The reps were set in place. All in all, it was a pretty solid 4-day plan that they could follow, even with the varying exercise selection that some of them may have used. The important thing to consider with every study is that they draw their conclusions based on averages. But what I like to do is look at the individual differences, look at each participant in the group and their overall experiences. And you can really, it provides a lot of insight. We're gonna dive deep into that now because it really paints a much clearer picture of what's going on and how they drew their overall conclusion here based on the overall average. Looking at this graph, each bar represents a participant. And what you see here is that the person who lost the most fat-free mass in this study was actually in the refeed group. One of them lost 7.6 pounds of fat-free mass. Another one in that refeed group lost 6.6, another one 4.1, and there was a few others who lost between 2 and 3 pounds of fat-free mass during the study. When you compare the two groups there, the refeed group and the consistent calorie deficit group, and you're just looking at the lower half of the graph here, the lower half of the chart where we're just looking at the fat-free mass loss, the graphs are pretty similar. And when you look at the top part of the graph, you see that both groups had individuals who experienced a little bit of fat-free mass gain during that 7-week period. But the refeed group had 3 people who gained a significant amount of fat-free mass during this 7-week period. There was an individual who gained 5.4 pounds. That was a male, and there was 2 people in the group, 2 females, who gained 3.6 pounds of fat-free mass during this 7-week cutting phase. This, to me, is something, red flags are going off like crazy here. It's tough enough to gain 5.4 pounds of muscle in 7 weeks when you're in a calorie surplus. But when you're in a 25% calorie deficit, gaining 5.4 pounds of fat-free mass, I just am not so sure about those results there. And for a female, 2 females to gain 3.6 pounds in 7 weeks in a 25% calorie deficit, I don't know. I've got some red flags going off there. When you add those 3 numbers into the overall equation with just 27 participants there, it can throw those numbers off. You take those outliers out of the equation here, and overall the results are pretty much the same. They're darn close to in comparison to each other. So although some people use this study to support their bias towards a carb cycling diet, I myself really don't see a difference between any of these approaches, and it really falls in alignment with what I've been teaching here on my channel for the longest time here. That the key here is compliance and hitting your weekly caloric target. That's something that I talked about in the most recent video that I shared about simplifying your diet, is to focus on your weekly caloric intake. Both these groups are aiming for 25 calories for the week. You can achieve that through multiple ways. You can achieve it by being more aggressive some days, bringing yourself up to maintenance level calories. And on that note, I really, when it comes to carb cycling, calorie cycling, that's one of the things that I really liked about this approach and some of the other studies that I've seen there, and what I've heard from other coaches as well, is that when you do a refeed, just bringing it up to maintenance level calories works best. It just, in my personal opinion, compared to the approaches where some other coaches go for an all-out cheat day, where it's a free-for-all there. I just find those kind of approaches, those cheat day approaches where there's really no limit on your caloric intake, really kind of promotes unhealthy eating behaviors. I think it's more of a binge kind of purge type approach, not to that extreme, obviously, but it's still an unhealthy eating habit, in my opinion, to go to those kinds of extremes. And I think just getting yourself up to maintenance level calories is a learning experience in itself, because again, it kind of prepares you for the maintenance phase that's to come, how you're going to feel during that time. And usually getting up to maintenance level calories is enough to provide that psychological benefit and some physical benefits as well. And that's oftentimes what we talk about here. I should say, oftentimes when you hear those carb cycling proponents, I followed carb cycling approaches as well, but there's some people are like really raving about it, and the reason they rave about the carb cycling, calorie cycling, is for the preventing metabolic adaptations, and there just isn't enough research on that right now. But I do believe there are many psychological benefits to having those refeed days, especially nice 2 back-to-back days where you're up at maintenance level calories. It's a nice psychological break from dieting. It gives you a break from that feeling of being in a deficit, that feeling of deprivation. And it also replenishes your energy stores. So there's a lot of anecdotal experiences here. Like some people say that those days that they have those refeeds, they feel stronger in the gym. They perform better in the gym that day, like those days during the refeeds, or even a few days to come. And again, pushing harder in the gym may end up creating a greater caloric burn for you and all that stuff. But again, my anecdotal evidence for myself, when I follow this more aggressive approach for 5 days and 2 days up at maintenance, yeah, I do experience more strength, more energy in those immediate days following the increase in calories, the increase in carbs. But towards the end of the week, my energy levels go down a bit, and like that Friday workout can be a challenge for me, and I start thinking to myself, oh damn, I need this refeed right here. So you start to feel those feelings of fatigue and deprivation towards the end of the week when you are being more aggressive for 5 days in a row, then you really need that refeed. So I think it kind of balances out in terms of having workouts where you have a little less energy towards the end of that the aggressive deficit phase, and having more energy immediately after the refeed. My personal experiences, that's how it's been with the carb cycling approach. And during the approaches where I've been in a consistent deficit, where it's only a moderate deficit, I find my energy is pretty sustained throughout the entire time. I don't feel moments where I feel weak, drained, exhausted. Again, that's my own personal experience. You may have some different experiences as well, which is why I would really love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Other benefits of carb cycling and calorie cycling approaches like this, where you're more aggressive for 5 days and hit up to maintenance level calories for 2 days, is that a lot of people find it a lot easier to be more aggressive on their diet during the week. They don't have social obligations. They're more habit-based. Like they're into routine where their meals are all kind of planned. They have the same breakfast, same lunch, and they're in a good dinner routine, whereas weekends, it's a lot more sporadic, a lot less routine, and a lot more opportunity for social engagement, social interaction, where there's going to be a lot more temptation. So having that extra room on the weekend to consume, say, 500, 600, 700 extra calories really allows you that opportunity to enjoy yourself a bit more during those social situations, and not feel as deprived, not feel like kind of an outcast, to stand out like a sore thumb and face a whole bunch of questions from everyone else. How come you're not eating that? How come you're not drinking this? So again, it really comes down to individual preferences. It comes down to consistency. So following an approach that you can consistently stick with, because it's based on your lifestyle, your preferences, your favorite foods. So base your diet on yourself, not just the single study outcome or what someone else says is the best approach. You really got to take your overall lifestyle and preferences into consideration here. That's what you gather from this study, is that it's the total calories at the end of the week that matter most. How you break it down is really up to you and your own personal preferences. For myself, I was hitting that 14,000 calories for the week, and whether I hit that consistently or I had some days where I let loose a little bit and got up to maintenance level calories, even maybe just slightly above maintenance level calories, I was able to, it kind of all washes out, works itself out in the wash towards the end of the week. That's my big take from this study, and it's been my big take from any other study I've ever come across, and my years of coaching experience here, is that total calories at the end of the week is what matters most, in addition to adapting the diet to your own lifestyle, personal preferences. And one important consideration is how lean you are and how deep you are into the deficit. If you are below 12% body fat, you're starting to push the envelope and you've been dieting for a lengthy, extended period of time, your body is going to start pushing back, especially when you start getting below 10%, closer to that 8% body fat. Your body has a tendency to resist getting any leaner. It's going to push back in a variety of ways, through increasing your appetite, just giving you different signals that you should be eating more. And in these situations, it can be very beneficial to include these 2 refeed days throughout the week. So I'd say those are the times to really, really consider incorporating these refeeds in there. Even if it doesn't necessarily fit your lifestyle, maybe you prefer to be more consistent in a more moderate deficit throughout the week. But this would definitely, when you're getting closer to that end goal there, I think it's a good time to start considering this carb cycling approach, calorie cycling approach, where you take 2 days, you bring your calories up to maintenance level calories, kind of like what I did in the reverse dieting here at the end after my 4-week shred, my 4-week mini cut. I spent a month where I was bumping up my calories a bit, and a lot of that came down to my weekly total calories, and it was my weekends where I let loose a little bit more and bump my calories up. And it definitely made things a lot psychologically better for me. It made me reduce all my cravings, and I just, again, probably helped me preserve some muscle mass. Tough to say, but I would like to think that it did. If you want to see exactly what I ate during my 4-week mini cut, I highly recommend you check out my simple 7-day diet here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. You want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. More than anything, I want to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your insights, share your feedback and experiences. Hope you have yourself an absolutely amazing day. Catch you in the next video.